Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to show you quickly some of the, well, all of the items that I've purchased from the Chanel Spring collection. This is due to launch in the UK, I believe, either at the beginning or end of this week. But the items have been available at individual Chanel boutiques for about 2 weeks before the collection launches generally in the UK, and of course elsewhere in the world it's been available for some time. Now, I actually bought 2 of the 3 nail polishes separately. Somebody got me those from the States a couple of weeks ago, and I'm wearing one of them that I'm going to show you at the moment. But I also visited the Chanel boutique, which just sells makeup and perfume at Covent Garden, and I always recommend, if you live in London and are thinking of purchasing makeup or perfume items, to go to that boutique if it's convenient for you, because I find the sales assistants there are much more helpful than they are at some of the concessions in the department stores. They're much more helpful about letting you try things, giving advice, and they offer makeovers, that kind of thing, if you've got time. So I often think it's worth going there. And before I show you these items, I thought I'd just show you the gorgeous packaging that I got of my items. Now, you don't always get the lovely camellia. I should say that I'd actually gone in to buy a present for somebody, so I was spending quite a lot of money, but they do generally package quite nicely. So what did I get? If you watch my channel, you'll know that I do usually get all the nail polishes because I collect Chanel nail polish. I'm reaching around in the bag because I've just noticed that they've given me some samples. So I bought the outstanding nail polish. I'll show you those in a minute. But my 2 main purchases were 2 blushes. You will have seen, if you're keeping up with the blogs, that there is a very pretty special blush. You can see the packaging is slightly different from the normal black and gold packaging. This is the Jardin de Chanel Blush Camellia Rose, and I dithered about buying this for a while. I haven't worn it yet, so you can see it's very similar to the general packaging, but the selling point of this is the super pretty kind of engraving of the different colours. Now, it's actually, I think, smaller than you think if you look at the publicity shots. It's basically the same size as the normal Jus Contrast, which I don't know if the weight's the same. Yeah, not even as much weight as the Jus Contrast. It's only 3 grams, and the normal blushes, and I'll show you one in a minute, are 4 grams. Whereas in the publicity handouts, this really looks like quite a big item, more the size of the highlighter powder that we got the special edition, for example, at Christmas. So there's that. When I actually tried it and I swatched it in the shop, it isn't really that great a colour payoff. You almost don't want to swatch it because it's so pretty. I hope you can see there, but I know I go on about my camera lighting isn't great. I mean, to be honest, there isn't a huge colour. It's a really nudie pink tone, which, when you put it on, is quite faint, and it doesn't have the shimmer that a lot of Chanel powder blushes have, which you either love or you're not that keen on, and that kind of governs whether you like Chanel powder blushes, I think. I happen to like a bit of shimmer, not glitter, and so that's why I'm a big fan of Chanel blushes. So I wouldn't say as a blush to wear this is the ideal, and I probably need to tell you what price it is if I can find my receipt, because of course it was not cheap. Looking at it, I think it was £6, so quite an expensive blush. And I did it for a while, but honestly, it's just so pretty that I couldn't resist. And I am going to use it because I really have resolved not to just keep things as historical items. So if you love Chanel and you're a collector, then you're going to want to get this blush. I'll tell you more about it when I have actually worn it, but I suspect if you're not a big Chanel collector, this is not one to go for as something to really regularly wear or get good value out of, but very, very pretty. What I didn't know was they've actually brought out another colour, which was this one, Angelique. And when I swatched this, I liked this a lot, and I knew I wanted to get it, which kind of made me pause a bit more about getting the Camellia. It's a really pretty candy coral is how I would describe it, with a good bright, almost tangerine there, payoff that you can definitely see. And I thought that was a really pretty spring-summer colour. It's reminding me a bit of another Chanel powder blush from about 2 years ago, and I've forgotten the name. I'll stick it down in the information box if I remember. But really good colour payoff there. Tiny bit of sheen, but fairly matte by the standards of Chanel blush, and a bit different. So that for me was a must. As I say, I've just taken that out the package now. That's the normal Chanel powder blush price, i.e. 31, I think. And for me that was much more of a must. I don't get all the Chanel blushes. I didn't get some of the limited edition ones before Christmas, the holiday ones, but I thought that was sufficiently different to anything I had in my stash, and definitely a colourful spring summer to warrant getting that. I will report back later when I've used it. Then of course all three of the spring colours, that's Desirio, which is a very typical Chanel mid, slightly blue-toned cream in pink. Not wildly different from others, but I do like those pink creams. This one is perhaps the most disappointing. It's Paridesio, and in the promo photographs again, it looks to have more of a mint green tinge than it has in real life. It's really a kind of off-white luster with a kind of mint tint, but as I'll show you in a minute, it doesn't really show up that much on the nails. And then by far my favourite, actually thinking of a backup for this, is Tenderly, which looks quite lilac-y in the bottle. On the nails, it's an unusual colour. It's a real mix between mauve and taupe, and to me it's a very, very wearable shade. It's pretty, but it's just about office appropriate in conservative jobs, and very, very wearable. Looks good, I think, on my skin tone. Some taupes can make my hands look a bit horrible pink, so I'm really liking it. I've applied this myself, which is not great. I'm going to have it done professionally later on today. It's worn not brilliantly, I have to say. I've got a bit of tip wear there on 3 days, but that tends to happen more when I apply myself. I will say that you definitely need 2 coats of this. It's not opaque in 1 coat, but looks much better with 2. Now, the other 2, let me show you Paridesio, because this looks... Oh, can't even get the top off. Oh, this is embarrassing. I'm not going to be able to show you that at all at the moment. It's going to have to work on the top, I'm afraid. So I will show you that in another vid probably when I've used it. But suffice it to say, if you've got Chanel polishes like, off the top of my head, Attraction, I'm not sure you're going to want to get this unless you are, like me, a collector. So they're quite a pretty trio in theory. And if you like the red pink creams, then Desirio is a great one. Tenderly, I think, is the outstanding one. I should say there are other products in the spring range from Recollections, probably about 4 lipsticks, 2 Cocoa Shines, 2 of the lipsticks are velvets. Very, very pretty. I'm just lipsticked out with my Tom Ford at the moment, and so there was nothing that was sufficiently different. There are a couple of Cocoa Shine lipsticks, which are my usual favourite formula, but again, nothing sufficiently different on this occasion. There was one Stylo's Yeux, the waterproof eyeliner. I love their formulation. It seemed soft and not hard and dry as some of them can be, but it was in a grey that wasn't sufficiently different to what I already had. And then there are 2 eye quads. Again, they looked very pretty. The formulation seemed nice, but they weren't sufficiently different to quads I already have. So I may revisit the collection, but I think now that I'm trying to be a bit more careful this year, probably this is all I'm going to get from the spring collection. But yeah, very, very pretty colours, and just really nice to see spring collections hitting the stores here in the UK. So I shall speak to you soon. Bye for now.